I stared at the screen in disbelief. $50,000, all my savings, and the bank just told me I had violated their rules. No warning. No chance to explain. They said my account would be closed at the start of April. And worst of all, they didn't even let me transfer my money. I felt sick, powerless, and furious. But little did they know, I wasn't going to let them get away with this. It all started after a couple of rough months. I'd been out of work, unexpectedly, painfully, and completely. Rent, bills, groceries, everything was piling up, and my savings, the only thing keeping me afloat, was all I had left. I had trusted my bank, Card.com by Pathward. For years, I'd deposited every paycheck, set up autopay, and believed I was safe. But that trust shattered overnight. One crisp March morning, I got an email. Your account will be closed due to violation of our direct deposit policy. My heart skipped a beat. Violation? Me? The words blurred on the screen. My chest tightened. My fingers shook. I read it again. And then again. There it was, my safety net, my life savings of $50,000, suddenly dangling over a cliff, and the bank wouldn't let me transfer it. ACH transfers were blocked. Wire transfers? Not an option. Their solution was to mail me a check once the account closed. And anyone who's ever waited for a check knows, checks get lost, stolen, or delayed. Panic clawed at me. I imagined the check sitting in a mailbox somewhere, someone else cashing it, and me having no recourse because I was no longer a customer. I felt the familiar, bitter taste of betrayal. How could a company I trusted treat me like a criminal for being out of work? How could a system I relied on turn its back on me? I called the customer service line. Reached a polite voice at first. But polite quickly turned into scripted monotony. Ma'am, we recommend moving your money before the account is closed. I pressed, but ACH transfers don't work, and you don't offer wire transfers. What else am I supposed to do? The voice paused, then replied with that corporate monotone that made blood boil, you'll receive a check after closure. That's the standard procedure. Standard procedure. Standard. Nothing about my years of loyalty, nothing about the fact that my life savings were on the line. Frustration surged. My hands gripped the phone so hard my knuckles whitened. My mind raced. How is this fair? How can they do this to someone who's done everything right, except for a couple of months of bad luck? I knew I had to act. But first, I needed a plan. Because letting them mail that check, hoping it wouldn't disappear, was not an option. I spent hours researching every possible loophole. Bank forums, Reddit threads, consumer protection guides. Every tip I found pointed to one thing: documentation, pressure, and persistence. I documented every interaction. Screenshots. Emails. Notes from phone calls. Dates, times, and the exact words used by the representatives. I had a record of the injustice. And then it clicked. If I played this smart, I didn't have to just hope for justice. I could demand it. The first step, alert the bank that I was fully aware of my rights. If they were going to close my account, I needed to make sure they couldn't do it quietly or get away with negligence. Step 2, leverage social media. Corporate reputations are fragile. Even a small complaint, if public and precise, can force action where polite phone calls fail. Step 3, have a backup plan for the money. If the bank refused to cooperate, I needed to ensure I could receive it safely. Money orders, certified checks, even opening a temporary account elsewhere to accept the transfer. I started by calling the bank again. But this time I was ready. Calm, collected, and armed with proof. I understand my account will be closed. I want to ensure my funds are protected. Here's a record of every interaction, every policy quote, and your lack of wire transfer options. The representative sputtered. Scripts failed. My calm, precise tone, paired with evidence, made them pause. Next, I drafted a formal complaint. Not a generic one, this was a precise, laser-focused document highlighting their policy gap, potential violation of consumer protection laws, and the risk to my funds. I copied it to the bank's executive complaint desk. Then, I posted a factual, non-exaggerated account on Reddit and a few finance forums, highlighting that Card.com by Pathward was shutting down accounts without providing safe transfer methods. Within hours, dozens of users chimed in with similar experiences. The pressure mounted. Social proof, regulatory knowledge, and public scrutiny made it clear, ignoring me would be a PR nightmare. Meanwhile, I had set up a backup solution, a temporary account at a credit union that accepted all types of transfers, no questions asked. I was ready to accept the money the second they released it. A week later, I got the call. Not the polite script. Not the monotone. This was different. Nervous. Hesitant. We've reviewed your complaint, and we can arrange a direct deposit to your new account before closure, they said. Victory hit me like a wave. Relief, satisfaction, a little adrenaline-fueled euphoria. $50,000, my money, my security, safely in a new bank account. I leaned back, let out a long breath. The bank that thought they could quietly pull the rug out from under me had to comply. They couldn't ignore the evidence, the pressure, or the potential backlash. And I felt powerful. Not maliciously powerful, but vindicated. Justice, earned through persistence, intelligence, and a refusal to be powerless. Looking back, the lesson is simple: know your rights, document everything, and don't underestimate the power of persistence. Life isn't fair, but when you combine knowledge with action, even the odds. Sometimes, the most satisfying revenge isn't flashy, it's reclaiming what's yours and making the world acknowledge your strength. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and share your own battle for justice in the comments. Have you ever fought back against an institution that tried to wrong you? And don't forget, subscribe to Story X Daily for more stories that make you feel every bit of the struggle, triumph, and sweet, sweet revenge.